going over plant classification. Yesterday I gave out some vocabulary terms that we're going to go over real quick right now, and then we will, as we read, we're going to discuss further on the vocabulary. So, non-vascular. These are usually small plants that grow in damp places. They do not have vascular tissues. And what that means is they do not transport water easily. They do not have roots. They also are non-seed producing plants. And how they gather nutrients and water is they're like a sponge.
Yes.
So that's what non-vascular plants are. Next vocabulary is vascular. So that would be the opposite of non-vascular. These plants have vascular tissues, and they have tubes that help them move the water from the roots to their stems to their leaves to get their nutrients from waters. It also helps them to cross long distance because sometimes roots are super long, and like trees, they're super tall. So it helps them travel the water and nutrients from the ground all the way to the top. And then vascular plants are also broken down into another subcategory, which are called angiosperms and geosperms, gymnosperms. In our vocab terms, those are two of our vocab terms. Gymnosperms, who can tell me what a gymnosperm is? Liam. Nope. We've moved on from what vascular plants are. We're looking at gymnosperms. Valentina. Their gymnosperms are, I can hear you, sweetie. That seeds that do not produce through flowers or fruits. Good job, Valentina. And then angiosperms would be the opposite. Their seeds come from what? Flowers and fruits. Some more additional vocab words are, we have spores, capsules, seeds, cones, flower, and to germinate. And we'll read further as we go along in our reading, and in the PowerPoint we'll discuss further on the rest of those vocab terms. All right, the first category, when we are classifying plants, what are the two classifications we start with? Start with vascular and non-vascular. And what we said the non-vascular are, they lack, what do they lack, Madison? They don't have tubes. They lack vascular tissues to help them grow, to help water move. They're like sponges that absorb water. And that's how they get their nutrients. And what did we say vascular? Vascular has tubes. And what do those tubes do? Okay. Raise your hand on the floor and stand up if you're in your desk. Carly. What do the tubes do? What do the tubes do help with vascular plants? To the plant through roots to where? If we're going from the roots up, we're going to go up to where? What's next? We're talking about a plant. Their stem. So the roots go from the stems to the leaves to the branches. That's where the vascular tubes are going. That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right. And here are some examples of non-vascular plants. We have algae, moss, and liverwort. Y'all can see that on your first page. You have moss and the liverwort. Or on your the second page has the examples of those two. And what do moss grow extremely low to the ground, and they are usually next to swamps and rivers. Why do you think they're close to swamps and rivers? Liam, go ahead. They need water to survive, yes. Because they don't, what are they lacking? What is moss, algae, and liverwort lacking? What do they not have? Alberto?
Tubes.
They don't have tubes, but what do they also not have? You know the answer, Dan? Liam, roots. Because how did we say that they gather water? By what? No. We're still on vascular, non-vascular plants by a sponge. So again, let's go over it. Non-vascular, no tubes. How do they gather water? They are like a sponge and they absorb and soak in water. Okay? So vascular, again, has tubes. Hold on. And their tubes carry their water through the plant from the roots to the stems. And if we're talking about a tree, it would be the trunk to the branches and then to the leaves and whatever else that particular tree is growing. Whether it be a fruit tree. All right, some examples are vascular are trees, grass, fruits, and some flowers. That's just a few examples. All right, as we continue, we can see that the first thoughts are with classifying by non-vascular or vascular, which is telling us it has tubes or no tubes. The next classification would be how they produce. All right, so non-vascular and vascular, how they produce. They don't produce seeds or they do produce seeds. Okay, so as non-seed producing plants they reproduce using spores and not seeds. This is a single reproductive cell that grow a whole new plant. So it doesn't need anything else to grow. It grows on its own. And that would be, again, our examples are like moss, liverworts. And they need to stay moist, like we said, they live in these damp areas, and that's how they survive. Because if they don't have water next to them, they can't grow because they don't have roots to travel to the water. They need to be close to the water because they absorb the water to get their nutrients. Seed producing. Seeds have a coating, a coat that covers them. It's like a jacket, right? So before they start to grow, they're just in a capsule and a coating to keep them from growing. And sometimes they can stay in this coating for many years before they start to grow. They have to make sure that the temperature, the ground, there's water, and the sunlight for them to grow. And they'll grow at the exact time that is needed. They have all those elements in order to grow. So, vascular and non-vascular. Now we're at vascular, so they're seed producing. And then it can be broken down into two types of seed producing plants. Gymnosperms and angiosperms. So if you go to your next page. Gymnosperms is a vascular plant that produces seeds, not flowers or fruits. This seed is the protective coating. It is not enclosed by fruits. It is usually a cone-producing plants. And these are most common with gymnosperms. It's a cone-producing plants. And then angiosperms are another type of vascular plant that produces seeds and flowers. That produces the seeds and flowers and sometimes in fruits. Who can tell me the difference between say that again? I could not hear you. Did you say it a little louder? What is the difference between gymnosperms and angiosperms? Did you say gymnosperms are produced from flowers? Okay, well that's what I heard. So you have to be a little more clear when you answer your answer, because I heard they are produced from flowers. That's what I heard. So if you just be a little clearer so we all can hear. So gymnosperms are seed producing plants, but they don't come from flowers or fruits. And then so angiosperms are what? Carly. Flowers and fruits. Great. And if we can turn to the next page, it just gives us a little overview of how, turn to the next page, not the pomegranate, one more, and how seeds grow. We're looking for the page that says how seeds grow. We're looking from how they grow. Let me just show you where we're at, right here. Right here. This is how seeds grow. So it starts off, like we said, in their seed and its capsule, right? And then it moves on. And the conditions are just right. So what do we need to grow seeds? We'll just shout it out. Sun, water, and soil. So as they grow, the hard shell comes off, and you see in the photo, it's the roots that are starting to come out. What else is also growing out of the seed? The stem. In this case, it looks like it's going to grow into a tree. So it starts out super tiny, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger because it gets the water, the nutrients from the sunlight as well to continue to grow. Just 1 second. One of our vocabulary words was germinate. Who can tell me from the reading, what does germinate mean? Caroline. To grow. Simply to grow. Germinate means to grow. The seeds absorb the water, they expand, their coat breaks down, and the stems grow upward, and the roots where do the roots grow? Are they growing down or up? Down. Into the ground, the soil, and the dirt together, its nutrients that way as well. And then it develops the leaves. Yes, what's your question? I would think, so if the roots grow super, super far down, do you think it's going to get all the nutrients it needs from water?
No.
Because sometimes, where does water usually sit in the ground? On the top. So maybe sometimes it absorbs in the ground, right? But sometimes it just stays on the first top layers. So if the roots are all the way down 20 feet, do you think it's going to get all the water it needs? No. So as you can see in this picture, do the roots spread out? So the roots don't just grow straight down. They also grow which way? From horizontal, so left and right. Have you ever seen roots outside on our playground?
Yes.
And so where are they usually? You can see them. So they're on the surface. You were right, you were saying surface. They're on the surface. So we usually can see the roots. What is your question?
I was going to say
Correct, yes. You can see the ground next to a tree. Usually the roots are right there. And they're usually pretty big. And then as they get further out, are the roots as big as they were next to the tree? No, they're usually smaller. So it's just continuing to grow down and then outwards, left and right. One of our vocab words was, give me 1 second, a capsule. A capsule grows at the end of each stalk. So, at the end, if we're looking at this life cycle right here, the capsule's at the end. And this is for non-vascular plants. The capsule, it grows at the end of each stalk. So it's at the end of a plant at the top. The spores, there's spores inside. And once that capsule opens, the spores disperse. So what is a capsule? It encloses the spores. The spores are what get dispersed everywhere, and that's when it starts to grow. We're going to take a little quiz here in just a second, so I just want to continue to go over the vocabulary words. I lost it. All right, hold on 1 second. A cone. So we were talking about cones a minute ago with gymnosperms. What is a cone? Madison. It's a type of what? Catherine, can you help her out? Type of what? It's a type of seed. Yes, that's correct. And that's what gymnosperms produce. Cone, gymnosperms are cone seeds. They're seeds that are cones. So they don't come from flowers, right? They come from the cones of whatever they're growing, like a pine cone. Those little pieces that come off on, y'all seen a pine cone before, right? And then it comes and breaks in different pieces. That's the cone, right? That's the cone. Pine cone. It's the same word almost. Nathan. And so what are flowers? What do flowers do for, how can flowers be important to angiosperms? What do they produce? Stand up. I'm asking, a flower does what for angiosperms? We just said what cones do for gymnosperms. They are seeds for plants that don't produce in fruits and flowers. So what does a flower do for an angiosperm? Carolina. Produces the seed. So therefore, it produces the seed that can grow a whole new plant, right? Let's take 2 minutes to read over these vocabularies. Who doesn't have a vocabulary? Read with your partner next to you. We're going to take 2 minutes. You can read with him. Take 2 minutes to go over your vocabulary words. We're going to take a short little quiz here in just a few minutes. Do you need a copy? Do you need a copy? Go to the restroom? Okay. We're asking each other questions about the vocabulary, okay? You can sit by yourself. I'll sit with you. You can sit with Carly. Do you need this? So we're asking each other questions. As you read the vocabulary, tell each other back for what. There you go. note card. I need you to put your name on it, okay? The note card. Okay, did you guys switch over which one was which? Okay, so what's the vascular plant? One at a time. All right, let's put away our vocabulary. Girls, you can go back to your seat. And boys, you can go back to your seat. We're gonna take a 6-question little quiz. So, back to your seats, please. That's great. That's what I wanted you to do. All right, we have 6 questions. They're going to be up on the board. And you're going to record your answers on the notebook that I just gave you. On the little notebook piece of paper. On the note card. Excuse me, not notebook. On the note card. Please make sure your name is on there. And let's put, you can put on their science quiz. You want to put that on there so we know what it is. And you're doing this by yourself. Okay. Right here. Eyes on me. Okay, here are the 6 questions. We are using the vocabulary over here on the right-hand side to match with the definitions. All I want you to do is put 1 through 6, and you put the letter that corresponds with the vocabulary on your note card. Okay? 1. There are 8 vocabulary, and there are only 6 words. Are we going to use all the vocabulary words? No. There's 1 answer per definition. Okay? Can everybody read the question? If you can, no? Okay, calm down. I will read them out loud since it's a little blurry. It says, type of plant that must grow in damp places. Number 2, the type of tissues that can transport materials throughout a plant. Number 3, the structure that contains spores in mosses. Number 4 is the structure that produces seeds in angiosperms. Number 5, the structure that produces seeds in gymnosperms. Number 6, the reproductive structure that stays protected before germinating. Start with what you know, okay, and then go from there. You don't have to answer the first one right away if you don't know which one that is. Go to which one you know, and then come back to number 1. We have 6 minutes to answer these. Okay? All I should see is the number 1 and the letter that is the answer. Number 2, one of the letters. Okay? Your vocabulary should be put away, but I already asked you to do that. Just one second, I'll make it bigger. And if you need to read the question, just tell me and raise your hand and I'll read it to you. since it's a lot smaller than I realized. Carolina, what? All right, one more minute on these questions for the two people who need it, and then we're gonna go over each question. Yeah, you put and we'll go over the definitions. So, if you're sitting, you should have getting your red pen out, or blue pen, or blue mouse. So then we can put that our answers. We can grade our answers. Boys, you stop drawing on that. You good, Alex? Jefferson, did you finish? You need it? How many questions did you have left? Okay. Take this. Here, take this. Let's go over our quiz. Here's the first definition. Number 1 says, the type of plant that must grow in damp places. What did y'all put?
C.
C. Non-vascular. It's a non-vascular plant. Must grow in damp places. Number 2. The types of tissue, a type of tissue that can transport materials throughout the plant. D. Vascular. Number 3. The structure that contains spores and mosses. So, it's holding the spores. What is holding the spores? B. Capsule. Number 4. The structure that produces seeds in an angiosperm. H. It's a flower. The structure that produces seeds in gymnosperms. A cone. And the last one says a reproductive structure that stays protected before germinating. So where is it at? It is a seed. So put out a 6 at the top, please, of your piece of paper, and then just stick it on your clipboard. Tomorrow you have an interim over your classifications of plants and animals. So you should be taking home your notebooks to review the classifications for plants and animals. And what else should you also be taking home? Your what? The textbook. We already said no. So take your textbook and your notebooks home to review for yourself for your interim test tomorrow.